There's one thing that often stops you from doing what you want to do, and one thing that often causes you a lot of pain from what you've already done. And that thing is overthinking, where you think about something and then think some more and then some more until you're stuck, anxious, or just completely drained. And that definitely used to be me. I used to overthink everything. I mean, big decisions, small decisions, even hypothetical scenarios that hadn't happened yet. And it did used to feel like my mind was just constantly in overdrive. And to be honest, it was exhausting. But now, after more than 10 years of battling that endless voice in my head, I finally found a way out. And in this video, I am going to break down exactly what helped me to stop overthinking and how you can finally quiet your mind too. Number one is around harnessing present awareness, because so often when we are overthinking, what will be going on is that we might be ruminating on things that have happened to us in the past, or we might just be worrying and stressing about things that might come up in the future. And this can create a lot of negative emotion for us, because maybe if it's things in the past, maybe it's like we feel embarrassed or stupid about something that's happened to us in the past, or if it's something in the future that we want to do, maybe we're like fearful of doing that thing or don't think we've got the capabilities to do that, and it can just bring up all of these negative emotions. But when these types of thoughts are going on, what is really happening is that our mind is anywhere but in the present moment, because we will just be either in the past or in the future, and so we'll actually be missing what is going on right in front of us. But from this, we can actually see that if we really can just focus in on the present and focus on what is happening right in front of us, we won't have the capabilities to actually be overthinking and thinking about those things in the past or in the future. And that is a really powerful tool to therefore use. And a time that I really sort of noticed this most is in the past, where I've suffered from small bouts of anxiety, and thankfully now my sort of anxiety levels are about as good as they have ever been, and I don't really struggle with it too much. But in the past, when those sort of anxious thoughts have been at their worst, I noticed, was often when I had the least things going on in my life. And I think it was because I kind of had this time to basically just sit around with my thoughts, and it would just make my mind go into overdrive. But I then sort of noticed that actually when I did get a little bit busier and when other things were going on, and when I was focusing on those other things, I actually wasn't overthinking so much and getting these anxious thoughts. But from that, we can actually really see that it's all about the fact that if you are focused in the present and focused on things that are going on in front of you, your mind is not going to have that capability to be overthinking all of those thoughts so much. And we can use this even if we don't have things that are actually going on in our life. Like even if you are literally just sitting on the sofa watching TV, if you actually really focus on that, like if you focus sort of on the feelings maybe of the sofa and you're really actually engrossed in what's going on in the television program in front of you, you won't then be able to spiral into those overthinking thoughts. And so the real key here is just to try to harness that present awareness and focus in on the here and now. And if you're able to do that, your mind will not spiral into those overthinking type thoughts. Number two is to try to challenge your inner narrative, because so often when we are overthinking, it will be based on this sort of internal monologue that we have going on with ourselves. And often that monologue is going to be overly critical of oneself, it's going to be overly irrational, it's going to be overly fearful of things, and it's just not a very useful tool for us a lot of the time. And this monologue, it often will just be based on sort of stories that we've told ourselves, based on things maybe that have happened to us in the past, or just things that have developed throughout the years, and we sort of just start believing all these stories that we're telling ourselves. But in reality, a lot of these stories won't be true a lot of the time, or maybe they were true at one time in your life, but you might not be the same person that you were many years ago, and so those stories that you are continuing to tell yourself are just not relevant to how you are now. And really, even just sort of noticing those thoughts and trying to challenge them, it really can change the emotional tone or the negative emotional tone that some of these thoughts can have on you. And it might not always be an easy process, and it might be something that you need to do in real sort of a repetitive nature. Like maybe you notice a thought and then you think, all right, I'm actually going to challenge that one and maybe see if it is true or if it is helpful. But then you still see yourself sort of going off again and having that more negative thought around it again. Well, again, you just need to sort of notice it and challenge it and keep doing that over and over. But the more you're able to do that, the easier it will become to see whether some of these thoughts actually are not realistic or not helpful for you. And it really will help to sort of reduce that emotional tone that some of these thoughts can have on you. And number three is to really try to have a bias towards taking action, because again, when we are overthinking something, we might just be overthinking it to the point where it really is stopping us from doing those things what we want to do. Or maybe we are just sort of wallowing again and ruminating on things that have happened to us in the past. But the answer in all of these situations is just to take action and to break free and to progress your life how you want to do. And I think a particularly useful frame to try and have here is to really fear taking inaction instead of actually action. Because if we think about it, if we take no action, if it's inaction that we go with, our circumstances are not going to change in any way. And we are just going to continue to have these negative thoughts and emotions, and we're not going to improve our life in any way. And so really, the worst case scenario and the worst thing that you can do is to do nothing. If you take action in some way, you are at least going to be doing better than that. I mean, even if you take action and you completely fail, that will be a better situation to be in, because at least then you would have put yourself out there a little bit, and for sure you actually would learn things in the process. And maybe if you do actually take that action, it's not going to be as scary as you think, and you really actually might be able to get somewhere and progress towards some of those things that you want to be achieving and some of those goals that you have for yourself. And also here, try to remember that losing is not the same as being defeated. And so again, like if it is that you just take a little bit of action, even if it goes as bad as you think it possibly could, and you do sort of fail in whatever you're doing, losing in that scenario, it's not the same as being defeated, because you will have at least taken a positive step. And as I said, you almost certainly will have learned something in the process, and then you're not defeated because you will be able to come back even stronger from what you would have learned, and then you'll be more likely to progress again towards doing those things. So don't fear little circumstances of losing or little bouts of failure. And actually, I would really try to walk towards those things, because those are actually really positive things that you can do for yourself, and you will learn so much from those types of circumstances. And then finally here, like if you are overthinking something that you really want to do, what is going on here is that you are opening a loop in your mind. But if you actually never go towards doing that thing that you want to do, that loop is never going to close, and it is just going to eat away at you and nag away at you forever. And you might then, many years in the future, look back and just think to yourself, like, why did I not just go after those things? And so again, I would try and chase closing as many of these loops as possible. And so when something does open up in your mind and there is something that you want to do, try not to just overthink it too much, and instead really just walk towards it and take action. And so there you have it. There are my 3 top tips to stop overthinking. And these are things that really have massively helped me to stop overthinking. I hope you found some of that useful. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video.